If you think you've got a pretty good handle on the animal kingdom, well, get ready. We're about to dive into some facts that are so strange, so out there, they sound like they were pulled straight from a sci-fi movie. Seriously, these are the facts that go way beyond belief. All right, let's just jump right in with a real head-scratcher, literally. Is it even possible for an animal to survive for a year and a half with no head? I mean, that sounds completely impossible, right? A total biological absurdity.
Okay, how about this one? Picture an animal that, when it gets scared, turns its own skeleton into a weapon by forcing its ribs right through its own skin to make poisonous spikes. Does that even sound real?
And for the grand finale, what about immortality? And I don't just mean living a super long time. I'm talking about the actual biological power to hit a rewind button, to age backward and just start its whole life cycle all over again. Could something like that actually exist on our planet? Well, as you're about to see, the answer to all of these questions is a huge, resounding yes. See, these aren't just trivia questions. They're actually a window into some of the most extreme, ingenious, and, let's be honest, kind of gruesome survival strategies that evolution has ever cooked up. So let's dive into nature's ultimate survival guide. First up, the Texas horned lizard has a move that is straight out of a horror movie. No joke. When a predator gets a little too close for comfort, it intentionally bursts the blood vessels in its eyes, shooting a stream of really foul-tasting blood up to 4 feet away. I mean, talk about a dramatic exit. And some animals will go to truly unbelievable lengths just to survive. Get this, there's a creature called the hairy frog, but it's got a much cooler nickname, the wolverine frog. And for good reason. When it's in danger, it deliberately breaks its own finger bones, forcing the sharp fragments right through its toe pads to create these makeshift claws. It's a defense mechanism that is both horrifying and absolutely fascinating. Hey, remember that question from the beginning about an animal using its own ribs as weapons? Well, meet the Iberian ribbed newt. When this little guy feels threatened, it actually shoves its ribs forward until they pierce right through its skin. This creates a whole row of sharp, poisonous barbs all along its sides. So it's not just a physical barrier, it's a poison delivery system. A true don't touch me defense if I've ever heard one. And trust me, the weirdness does not stop there. You've got the pygmy sperm whale, which releases a cloud of what's been called anal syrup to confuse predators. There are ant species that literally explode, spraying corrosive poison everywhere. Turkey vultures, they use projectile vomit. And the hagfish can produce enough gill-clogging slime to suffocate an attacker in seconds. You really can't make this stuff up. Nature's creativity is just limitless. So it's not just the physical defenses that are shocking. The inner lives in the intelligence of some animals are just as surprising, maybe even more so. We're talking about minds that really challenge our whole definition of what it even means to be smart. You know, for the longest time, we humans thought that making and using tools was the thing that made us special. It separated us from every other creature. And then, bam, that idea was completely shattered back in 1960 when Jane Goodall saw a chimpanzee using a twig to fish for termites. And since then, we've found tool use everywhere, from orangutans to, believe it or not, octopuses. This quote comes from a researcher in the documentary Secrets of the Octopus, and it shows a level of connection we just never thought was possible. She formed such a bond with this wild octopus that it would recognize her, it would greet her, it would engage with her. That suggests a capacity for memory, recognition, and maybe even something like a relationship. Honestly, the intelligence of an octopus feels totally alien. It has 3 hearts and 9 brains. One central one, plus a little mini brain in each arm that can act on its own. They can solve complex puzzles, they've been seen throwing things at other octopuses that annoy them, and they even use tools, like carrying clamshells around to use as portable armor. Okay, so we've seen extreme defenses and surprising intelligence. Now let's look at some biological abilities that are so strange they feel like they were ripped right out of a science fiction script. These are the feats that just push the boundaries of what we thought life was even capable of. Way down in the pitch-black darkness of the deep ocean, making your own light isn't some cool party trick, it's a critical tool for survival. This whole phenomenon is called bioluminescence, and scientists estimate that over 75% of deep-sea animals can do it, and the effect, as you can see with this jellyfish, is just absolutely stunning. So what is it exactly? Well, bioluminescence is pretty simple. It's light that's made by a chemical reaction inside a living thing. But the key here is that it's cold light. Unlike a light bulb or fire, almost none of the energy is wasted as heat, which makes it incredibly efficient.
And the chemistry behind it is surprisingly straightforward. You basically just need two main ingredients, a compound called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase. When you introduce oxygen into the mix, that luciferase acts as a spark, causing the luciferin to oxidize and bam, it releases its energy as a flash of light.
All right, and now for that crazy question about immortality. It's real. The immortal jellyfish can, when it's stressed or hurt, revert from its adult form all the way back to its earliest stage, which is called a polyp. Think about it. It's like a butterfly turning back into a caterpillar just to start its life over. And it can do this again and again and again, pretty much dodging death indefinitely. And they're not alone in the ultimate survivor club. You've got tardigrades, or water bears. These are microscopic critters that can withstand just about anything you throw at them, being boiled, frozen solid, or even exposed to the vacuum of space. And then there's the axolotl, a master of regeneration. They can regrow limbs, organs, even parts of their brain. In one unbelievable experiment, scientists attached the severed head of one axolotl to another one, and it fully integrated and just worked. You know, for every incredible fact we know, there's a whole universe of things we don't know. And maybe the most mind-bending fact of all is just how little of our own planet we've actually explored, and how many creatures are still out there, just waiting to be found. Take a look at this number, 3 million. Just let that sink in for a second. 3 million. What do you think that represents? That is the estimated number of animal species just living on land that we have yet to discover. And that's a conservative guess that doesn't even touch the vast, unexplored depths of our oceans, where that number could be way, way higher. So why does all this matter? Well, a lot of these unknown species are probably small or rare or living in remote places we just can't get to easily. And the science suggests that smaller animals and carnivores actually evolve into new species faster, which means biodiversity is always changing. Understanding this hidden world isn't just about curiosity. It's absolutely essential if we want to protect our planet's ecosystems. So we've seen animals that shoot blood from their eyes, frogs that use their own bones as claws, and jellyfish that can basically live forever. If this is the kind of stuff we already know about, just imagine what else is out there. With millions of species still a complete mystery, what other impossible secrets does life on Earth have waiting for us?